But I think I want to touch a bit on California. California has made some pretty significant changes, which become effective July 1st of this year. Again, the Film Commission is already implementing these rules, and I think I wanted to highlight some of the changes and to just ask my panelists some of their thoughts and maybe even concerns about how the new incentive, or I think it's been California Incentive 2.0, will work for them. But clearly, more money, $330 million compared to the $100 million before. All television qualifies, not just certain types of television. They've raised the ability for larger feature films to qualify, where before, if your budget was over $75 million, you didn't qualify. Now you get up to $100 million. Again, 5% bumps for filming outside the 30-mile zone, bumps for music, and bumps for visual effects. So a lot of really great changes. The biggest change that I think the state is hoping will bring a little bit more certainty to the program is replacing the lottery program with the job ratio formula, which should level the playing field in terms of you're going to be compared with similar projects, so you're not just going to be a random draw out of a barrel, but every application will be looked at, and you will be basically compared to similar projects, and obviously those with the largest job ratio percentage will be awarded the money. But I think these are all really great changes, but I just wanted to ask my panelists what some of their thoughts or questions or concerns about these changes are, and I'll start with Debra on the end, and we'll work our way to the right.
I mean, we certainly welcome the changes. There have been a number of projects that we've looked at over the years that we would have loved to have shot in California and weren't able to because we have to qualify as an independent, and the money was just so limited, and very small percentage of people who actually would win the lottery. But so I think it's a good move forward. Still remains to be seen exactly how it's going to work in terms of just how you will measure up to other productions in terms of the jobs ratio. And because of the allocations to major films and television, it's still a little challenging for independent films. I think you and I discussed that you think in the July allocation it's maybe $10 million of tax credit that's going to be available. So that's really realistically a handful of projects that will get that money. So I think it's better than it was, certainly, and we're certainly going to be pursuing it for projects. There's so many advantages to, in a lot of cases where it's where it is a project that can be shot here, just in terms of the availability of crew and just access to people that you would like to bring onto the show, so, and talent, of course. Especially on the independent side, a lot of times it can make it a lot easier to get people that you might not otherwise get in the movie because they don't have to travel and they can be here. So there's a lot of advantages. So we hope that we can access it.
Well, I know a lot of people are intimidated by the job ratio formula, but if you aren't aware, if you go to the California Film Commission website, Amy Lemish and her team have really done a great job in automating it as much as possible. They have a great Excel worksheet that walks you through the process, as well as a lot of other information. So they've really have done, I think, an outstanding job in making it as simple as possible. So if you're not aware of that, you should definitely go to the website and look at that if that's something that concerns you. David, your thoughts about California?
I think it's great. I've been a big advocate and hoping that California would grow and obviously do something great. I'd like to be home a little bit, which would be nice, so to have obviously stuff here is great. Size and surety, right? That's everything, right? So the bigger the size that they can get, the more surety we have versus all of a sudden immediately production saying to us, well, we know they have the size we need in this state. We know that. So as it gets bigger, like Debra was saying, we'll be more confident that we can push something here, do something here. Look at, we're Hollywood. It's where it all started. The crews are great. The equipments are housed here. A lot of the homes for the great, brands are here. The labs, everything is, we have a lot here, so it would be really nice to use it. And there's some great, locations. We have something recently that we just looked at that would be great in California. A TV show would be great. Right now, the size doesn't allow us to potentially do that yet. So if we could get the size and the surety to know that we could bring something here, I think it's a phenomenal step forward, and they'll continue to do it. And I think it's definitely a state that would be great when they grow to the size that we can all use it.
Yeah, I think a great change that could happen is making it transferable for everybody. Because right now, if you're a larger company without an income tax or a sales tax, you're just not able to utilize it. So, Shirley, your thoughts about it?
I actually agree with David and Debra as well. For Alcon, which is an independent company, we haven't been able to utilize it because our films are not truly independent in terms of small size, and we're looking to do bigger movies, so that doesn't fit as well as the tax liability. It doesn't work for us.
Well,
But we're starting to get more and more into television, and we always look to California first.
Right. And we talked about this, but I remember for your project, just because you're not publicly traded and deemed an independent,
Correct.
you're not prohibited from qualifying for the larger project, but then you need an income tax to benefit
To
from
offset that, yeah.
Or if you're an independent, you're limited to $10 million of
Exactly.
qualified spend. I know, Deborah, you and I spent quite a bit of time on that. I don't know if you want to share some of your thoughts about California.
Well, I've got multiple thoughts about California. I've lost many shows here, big, huge, $100 million shows that have left here because of incentives in other parts of the country, and the numbers are pretty big when you're looking at big, big money. I am interested. I'm very excited that it's grown to 330. I'm very excited that they've done away with the lottery. Thank God. I just wonder with the shows that are already here, especially in television, that now they will qualify. So will we have enough money for other shows to qualify? I just wonder if these big tentpole movies that don't shoot here and go to Atlanta and other places will now shoot here. And so therefore we will lose, more money in that fund because the 330 is allocated throughout these three different areas, independent features and television. So, like David was saying, yes, we're excited. It's growing. I still think we need to really grow to really make a difference here where we, I can think of 10 shows right now that presently shoot, TV shows that presently shoot in Los Angeles that do not get the tax incentive. I bet you at least 50% of them will. So that's just going away from trying to entice new shows to potentially shoot here. So that's my one big comment on the whole California thing, and I'm a big advocate towards shooting in California. As far as my company goes at Fremantle, we do have the liability issue. We have a show that happened way before my time. It was a scripted series show. We qualified for the incentive. We have the incentive. It was 3 years ago. We cannot use the incentive, which is a shame. And you basically have 5 years to use it or lose it. So it's like what happens with Alcon. I believe there's other companies out there that, can qualify. They'll probably get the job ratio. They may make it, but then what do they do with the tax credit? That's a non-transferable tax credit. You can't do anything with it. So I think there's still more work to be done in that area.
Yeah, I can't say for sure, but I know that there's a lot of people in the community that are hoping that it just becomes transferable for everybody.
Yeah.
It's also clearly not being called a television incentive, but there's definitely more of a slant towards television. It was important to keep television in California. They saw television being lost to New York, to the UK, to Canada, and I think the reason behind it was, at least for Sacramento, is that television to a lot of people meant long-term jobs. And obviously, California did not want to, or permanent jobs. I mean, if you remember, the California bill, when it first came out in 2009, was called the Ugly Betty bill, because finally Sacramento thought or realized they were losing permanent jobs because the television series, which represented over 400 permanent jobs, was moving from California to New York because of the incentive. And that was the initiator for getting the incentive that we have in place now.